All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to Keep Growing, C-Hop's podcast on all things that help you grow, develop, and become the person you want to become. That's something new I'm trying out right now. I don't know if that's something we're going to repeat saying, but I like it. And to be honest with you, Cathy, I don't even know if I'll remember I said that. So
it's recorded.
It's recorded
for prosperity.
It is the Keep Growing podcast, and today what we're going to be talking about is Crucial Conversations, a workshop that C-Hop offers to help people navigate difficult conversations when stakes are high, opinions differ, and we've got an opportunity to do amazing things.
Sorry, I'm going to make noise.
Oh, that's all right.
Sorry, everybody.
Go for it, right?
There we go. Okay.
So, Crucial Conversations, you might have heard of it, you might have heard of the book, you might have heard of the company Crucial Learning. It is a methodology, right, that allows people to learn how to have those tough conversations with people they need to talk to.
David, I have to have a crucial conversation with you right now because you
go.
did not say who you are, and I don't think we said my name either.
Okay.
I feel like we need to introduce.
We need to do that.
Yes.
For our first-time listeners.
Yeah, I don't think you said your name.
Well, my name's David Ziebler, and you are?
I am Cathy Canham.
And we are your hosts of the Keep Growing podcast. All right, we did it.
Sounded like an SNL skit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not Saturday night, but it is a good day to do a podcast.
If it was Saturday night and we were sitting here in the cave, that'd just be... We'd need to have a crucial conversations with somebody.
About
that's
boundaries.
all I know.
About
boundaries. There you go.
About work hours.
There you go. That's another podcast.
Okay. Oh, that is another
boundaries.
one.
I'm writing that down right now.
Boundaries. Work boundaries.
Okay.
How to and when to appropriately say no. That's a whole nother podcast.
I'm digging that. Okay.
Right?
All right. Okay. I got you off.
That's okay.
I got you off. Okay.
It's going to be a short and sweet one. So, let's talk about Crucial Conversations. It's a workshop that we offer. It is at a cost. It does cost approximately $300 per participant, so it will take some money. C-Hop makes little to no money off of that, and little might be too much. I actually think we lose money on this workshop.
I think so.
Because the materials is what costs the money, right? Crucial Learning is a company that has the proprietary rights to the topic of Crucial Conversations. The book and the materials that come with the training program are what the cost is going to. We have certified trainers in Crucial Conversations through Crucial Learning. That is myself, David Ziebler, Dr. Bo Young Sa, and Dr. Suk Young Sa. More people are interested in getting certified to teach that in C-Hop, so we'll probably have more folks doing that. But the 2-day workshop, again, teaches you the skills necessary to hold a crucial conversation well, to give you a plan and a strategy and steps to not only prepare for the conversation, but again, to hold it and have a positive outcome. And you know what? Crucial conversations, they surround us. They're all over. They're in the clinic, they're in the home, they're in the relationships that we hold. They show up in our neighborhood with our neighbor who's installing a fence 4 inches over your property line, right? It's the employee who you sit next to at the front desk welcoming patients who routinely has a second lunch at 1:45 after they just went, right? Or who has a snack at 10 o'clock in the morning, but 3 eggs, hash browns, sausage, bacon, and pancakes. Not much of a snack, right? You need to have a crucial conversation with these folks, and this workshop teaches you how to do it. It's amazing. What do you think about Crucial Conversations, Cathy?
Kind of piggybacking on that is that they can be really, really short also. Mm-hmm. Oh, and they can last quite possibly for more than a day, I can imagine.
Sure. If it's getting unsafe, right, it can
need a break.
It can necessitate a break. But we teach you how to make it safe again and come back. That's pretty exciting, right? Yeah. Because sometimes those crucial conversations, it's happened, right? When you're untrained, you get into a meeting about, the topic or issue, an hour and 45 minutes later, 45 minutes over the scheduled time, what happens? People throw up their hands, they're exasperated, we're getting nowhere, you know what, I'm done with this, I gotta go somewhere else. You get out, you close the door, maybe you slam the door. It's not appropriate, but things like that have happened before. Yeah. And then do you come back to it? Nope. You don't, right?
Yeah.
But Crucial Conversations teaches you how to hold that conversation, make it safe, come back to it if necessary, and then get back on track.
So I'm disappointed that at this point in time we do have to charge because,
Yeah.
and I know that probably at some point in time we might have our own, kind of like you created the roadmaps. Because when I was first exposed to it, was in C-Hop, and I read the book, and I was just blown away. It really, really spoke to me. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I have probably used tools that I learned from that book in my personal life even more than I have at work. I mean, I'm not saying that I avoid it at work. I'm just saying that was not something I anticipated getting from it. It's really, really changed the way that I speak to my husband. And the mastering your story is just, in my mind, if I were to explain what that looks like in my mind, it's there's bright, shiny lights all around mastering your story. And that was a really huge learning, a tool for me to learn. And I still have to work on it all the time.
All the time.
But I realized, oh my gosh, I do this with my husband all the time. And it made a difference. I'm not perfect by any means, but I do stop myself and realize it. So think about it. Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up, right? You learn something, you apply it. You're not as perfect as you want to be yet, right? But you have that growth mindset. You know you're going to get there. You know you're going to keep improving, and you're self-aware that you know what there's more work to do, but you do a better job than you did before. So the training worked, Cathy.
Exactly.
The training worked,
and I because I know it. You and I have actually had conversations that I've had it with others as well, but where I might start, it could just be a super informal coaching, something like that. And it'll be like, what's the story you're telling yourself? You have said that to me before. And it just stops me in tracks. And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, we're done. Because, it's like, once you master that, you get it. You get that you're doing it. If you are someone who is prone to that. There were parts in the book that we're going to talk about in other podcasts, just because it's too much to put in one.
Way too much.
That didn't resonate with me as much. So mastering your story might not be in bright lights for somebody else, but I realized it was really, really big for me. So now just that trigger, like, wait a minute, what story am I telling myself about this? Oh, no, that's not that's not what's really happening here. So
it's a great portion of the training. It's a great module to go through because here's the thing, Cathy, you're human, I'm human, we all do this. Everyone does this, right? Even those who have gone through the training, even the person teaching, right? The training itself goes through this, right? I'm talking about me right here, folks. Because again, we have a certain way of living for an extended period of time up until we get this training. There's neural pathways that you'll hear us talk about on other podcasts that are our habits, that are our behavior, that need to be removed and or have new neural pathways built so that we act differently. And at first it is a conscious application of topics like master your stories that we have to engage in, but soon after, right, after consistent application and choosing to go this way, not that way, we become a person that has this as our primary habit, as our primary reaction. So let's talk about master your stories, because that's jargon, that's lingo, that's something that comes directly from the book and the training. Master Your Stories, right, is a module in Crucial Conversations training that really talks about how we have a very, very important task when navigating difficult, crucial conversations, right, to look at what's measurable, what's observable, and what are the facts about the scenarios that we want to talk about, right? So you're in conflict with someone. Let's say it's your colleague at work. You feel, keyword feel, because of what you have been experiencing, not necessarily seeing, right, that someone is not doing their portion of the work, that they're not doing what they're supposed to do, that they're not pulling their weight, that they're making more work for you. So then you begin, right, to write a story, right? that person doesn't care about their job. They don't care about you. They don't care about what their lack of attention to detail or to the work that they need to be doing does to you. So what does that mean about them? The story continues and it gets worse, right? They're lazy. They're not dedicated. I wonder, if they even, etc., etc., etc. The story begins to grow, right? And humans are creative and imaginative, right? You can make up a story about someone quite quickly. And if you don't talk about it, if you don't address it, right, the problems obviously rise, they get worse, and the story gets more detailed and even worse, right? And what we do is we look for things that back up the story that we told ourselves. Oh, they're late to work. I told you they don't care. I told you they don't care. You don't know that their car broke down, their kid threw up on the way to school, maybe they're having some type of difficulty in their own personal life, and they had a mental breakdown before work, and they, had to redo their makeup before they got there. That's why they were late. Or maybe they got a diagnosis that's not good, right? They had a doctor's appointment that went wrong, right, in terms of what the doctor came to report to them. But you don't know that, so you make it up. You make it up. So
Can I add you a
please.
story? It's not going to mess you up, right?
Go.
Where that becomes, where I'm already getting this in my head, and how this can, you said the story can just keep going.
Yep.
It can also become, and my supervisor clearly just sits back and lets it happen.
Oh, now, yes.
So now you don't like your supervisor, and you think, what the heck is with this place I work for? You can just do whatever the heck you want.
Boom. It went from the person to the supervisor
Yes.
to the organization.
Yes, and then it's, I'm going to quit because I'm going to go work here because then I can get away from this. So now you've lost
God.
your job. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
talk about another ripple effect that we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
It spirals out of control. And I talk about this. Change your attitude, change your life. Mastering your stories is about changing your attitude, which is
Perspective.
the thoughts, yes, the perspective, the thoughts and beliefs you have about a person or a thing, right? So we know then that our thoughts can change how we feel, and how we feel can change how we experience life. If you master your story about someone or something, or an event or an issue or an experience at work, right, by understanding what's truly measurable and observable, what really are the facts, right, and then, right, because you remove yourself from the story, guess what? You remove yourself from the emotions, and you can truly show up the way you need to for this crucial conversation. And that's why we teach it, right? Because when we enter into, right, a crucial conversation, right, when emotions run high, stakes are high, and opinions differ, right, we're not ready to really have a comprehensive, positive, what's the right C word I'm looking for? Collaborative and, gosh, help me out. Anybody in the chat? No, not at all, because it's a recording. That's okay.
I don't know. Sorry.
Productive.
It doesn't start with a C, but that's okay.
Yeah,
We can pretend it does.
Yeah, but, I'll have to look at my thesaurus after this and see what other...
Yeah, we'll have to add that into the notes because we're all going to be wanting to know now.
Sure. Help me out, folks. My vocabulary is not what it used to be. But you have a more productive conversation because you're showing up the right way because you mastered your stories. And again, folks, I really truly believe that, again, learning this stuff is not only universally applicable to who you are at work and who you are at home, but the act of learning how to master your story can quite literally change the way that you experience and see life, right? What's the story that we tell about the person who cut us off? If you learn, right, to remove your emotion from it, it's not that they're a jerk, that they don't care about you, that they're driving recklessly, that maybe they're drunk, right? It's that maybe they're just having a good day and listening to music and weren't paying attention, and they're not trying to be a jerk, they're just in their own world, and they're just happy to be here and accidentally did that, and will probably be mortified, right, if they knew that they had done that.
So let me play devil's advocate. Maybe they're just a terrible driver.
Maybe they're just a terrible driver.
Because I feel like that we have to realize that too.
Maybe they're, yeah.
Maybe they're just a lousy driver.
Maybe they're
and
the nicest person you've ever met who would do anything for anyone, and just isn't that, they're not that great at driving.
So like,
I can forgive
for
them.
me, the mastering my story is like, I can pin all that on them, or maybe at the end of the day, you just don't know.
Right.
So how much of that do you want to take with you for the rest of your day?
How much? Yeah, exactly. How much
just
do I want
hangs
to
on
ruin
you.
my day?
Yeah.
Because of some story I told myself about somebody I don't even know.
So I have another question for you, and I said I wanted to keep this at 15, and we just hit 15.
Okay.
But I really feel like this is, at least this is something I'm thinking about. I don't know if our listeners, because we've decided we're manifesting.
We're growing.
We're manifesting other additional
Our millions
listeners.
of listeners
Yes,
across
I mean
the
it's
country.
going to be too hard to keep up probably
Let's
with
go.
the comments. Okay, so the coworker that's, you've decided in your mind they're just lazy and they don't care about their job, and your supervisor's just letting them do it. Yeah,
Right.
We're gonna call her Susie Jones because she's my
Susie's showing up a lot. She's got a lot
the
of work to do.
the mean person in my stories, and now I'm like, wow, I really hope there's no Susie Jones that works here. I'm gonna have to check that on the
Probably
hive.
check the directory.
And Susie, if you do work here, my apologies. She's a lovely, lovely lady.
Right.
So here's the thing. So you get yourself in a good place, and you're going to have this difficult, we're saying crucial conversations, but I kind of like to think of it as difficult conversations too, and you do hear it interact.
Yeah.
The words interchange.
Difficult,
So you think you're ready, but it turns out that Susie's just like, yeah, so be it. And I'm not saying that necessarily you were right, but she's, ideally it'd be like, oh gosh, I didn't even realize that was affecting you that way. That'd be how, and then she'd change her ways. In a perfect world, that would happen.
Right.
But let's face it, we know it's not a perfect world. So, to me, what I could still get out of that, because again, you can't change the other person.
Right.
Is if I felt like, well, I said my piece. I let her know, and maybe it might lead then to a conversation with your supervisor if that's what you're tripping over. But how do you walk away from that thinking, I had the crucial conversation, and Susie's still lazy and shows up late and doesn't do her share of the work?
Right.
Is that too big for keeping it brief?
I can probably answer this in part. So basically what I'm hearing you say, correct me if I'm wrong, is you mastered your story. You're giving Susie J the benefit of the doubt, right? You're emotionless. You're looking to be curious and discover not only what's going on with Susie, but how you can move forward with what you want to address. And she begins to act in a way that begins to validate, right, parts, if not all of the story that you were telling yourself about her, right? So now we are seeing some observable facts about who this person is, right? Okay. So what do we do then? How do we move forward? Okay, well, number one, you've done your work to prepare, plan, and practice a conversation, all right, the 3 Ps. So you know what you're talking about, what your purpose is, and this is more content from Crucial Conversations, what your purpose is and what your intent is. Right? You've talked about the main points that you want to cover, and you've solidified the follow-through that's going to need to happen and the commitment that's going to need to be made in order to resolve this, right? And you're seeing, again, the negative attitude. You're seeing the things that you told about yourself. At the end of the day, if the person isn't willing to have the crucial conversation and your intent is to work together to solve the problem, to connect and serve each other, then the next crucial conversation, right, is about how they're unwilling to do that. And if at that point, right, they are unwilling to have the conversation about how they're unwilling, and how your intent is simply to grow, to collaborate, to figure out what you can do to support them, to solve the issue that is real, again, measurable and observable, then you might have the need to talk to a supervisor, right? The key to that is continuing to work the plan and the essence of what mastering your stories is really all about, which is removing the emotion, right?
Yeah.
The person that Susie J is has little or nothing to do with how you behave, right? And how you act and how you conduct yourself, right?
Yeah.
It has no reflection on who you are or what your work is really all about. Their choices, their behavior is theirs. Removing yourself is sometimes difficult and can be a necessary, consistently active and actionable thing that you have to do. But it's my recommendation, right? And it's the one way I think helps people continue to navigate and let go of that which stops them from having a good, crucial conversation, a healthy one.
That really resonates for me. I brought that up because I have been in those situations before where I really felt that I did the work prior to and mastered my story and really went in, and it really wasn't the other person. You know, you want to think that every time it's going to be a kumbaya and wow, that was really terrific, and it isn't always.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that there are not really positive things that come out of it, because I'm going to explain how you gave a very not clinical, but I'm going to take what you said and explain it in my own words.
Please.
Is I walk out of it knowing that I rose to the occasion and I was an adult. And for me, what it feels like when I'm not mastering my story is I am a toddler.
Oh.
And I literally can almost picture myself like a 4-year-old on the floor throwing a temper tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
And no one, anyone that's had toddlers or a child having a temper tantrum, there's no reasoning with them. There's nothing. So when I master my story, I move out of that, and I'm a metaphor person. I also picture like a big pot of soup, and you let all the fat rise to the top, and you skim all that off, and then you're left with the good stuff. So that's for me, like
that's
mastering.
debatable.
Well, that's true. I mean, if it's chili, you really want that. But so I see more clearly. Mm-hmm. So even if the outcome isn't exactly what, the perfect world outcome,
right?
You're still growing yourself up. Yep. And you're learning more skills than what you had before. And I just think crucial conversation should be like, if it could somehow be put into like fluid form, it should just be pumped into the water.
I agree. K through 12, mandatory.
Yeah.
Right? These are the skills that adults need to know.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, for sure. So, but there's a lot more to it. And
tons more.
We want to do some more podcasts about it, pick another topic. So, listeners, we hope you want to hear more. Leave us a comment. Let us know that this thing's on.
Absolutely.
So, you want to sign us off, David?
Keep growing, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See ya.